Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and today I'm doing the Winter Essentials tag. I was originally tagged in this video almost a year ago by Taylor at Tales and Treats with Tay, and I decided to save it for Christmas season because although it's called the Winter Essentials tag, it might be appropriate to say the Christmas Essentials tag because most of the prompts are related to Christmas time. So I thought that December would be a really good time to do this tag. So here we are. Actually, I am filming this in November, towards the end of November. So it's not quite even December yet or Christmas, but we're trying to bring the Christmas vibes here. So first of all, the first prompt is a crackling fire, your favorite cold character who warmed up towards the end. And I have the same answer as Taylor, and I am sure that most of you can guess what my answer is going to be. Let me give you a second. A count of three. Let's all say the name together. 1, 2, 3. Mr. Darcy. Yes, Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice is just the quintessential character. I mean, I think he invented the role of the character who is cold, but warms up towards the end of the story. And you also warm up to him. He has amazing character development in this book. Definitely my answer for that prompt. Then, number 2, Snowflakes, a book full of unique characters. And I just finished one that goes perfectly with this prompt, and that is A Tangled Web by Lucy Maud Montgomery. This book is chock full of interesting and unique characters. You won't find another collection of characters like this in another book. Now, Dickens, he collects some interesting characters in his books for sure. And there are some authors I've read who seem to delight in creating zany and unique characters, but this one definitely fits the bill for that. It's a whole family, the Darks and the Penhallows, and how they're all interrelated, and each of the characters is very unique in their own right, and then blended all together, they make a very interesting family indeed. Then speaking of families, number 3, a gingerbread family, a fictional family that you would want to be a part of. And I have no desire to be a part of the families in this book in particular, but this is my choice for this prompt. Cheaper by the Dozen by Frank Gilbreth and Ernestine Gilbreth. And the Gilbreth family is actually a real family. They're not fictional, so I guess that's technically doesn't quite go with the prompt, but this is a fictionalized version of their life growing up. It was a family of, I believe, 12 children. And it's called Cheaper by the Dozen because the dad always would say, like when he went anywhere with the whole family, he was like, do I get them cheaper by the dozen? So like, is there a group rate for 12 kids? And since I grew up in a family of 11 children, so much of this just resonated with me. I read this book when I was a preteen, young teen, and so did several other members of my family. And some of the jokes and the incidents in this book became kind of like family inside jokes between us that we still say to this day. And honestly, my family was a lot like this family in here, let's be real. And then number 4, Blizzard, a book that you had that confused you. Let me start over. A book that had you confused the whole time. And there are 2 books that I also read recently that fit this to one degree or another, but for different reasons. The fiction one I would mention is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Now, confused is perhaps the wrong thing to say because I understood, like what was happening in each moment of the story as we're walking through down the road with a father and his son. But it's never fully explained what the disaster was that created the post-apocalyptic situation that they are in and the dystopian society that they are in. And you are never fully told about the motives of many of the other people in the stories. So, and there's some bit of differing view, if they're good or bad. Some of them it's pretty clear that they're bad and you understand that. Some of them it's not so clear and you never really know. Were those good or bad guys, etc.? Was the situation handled correctly? Maybe, maybe not. So there was definitely some confusion in that one. And then Miracles by C.S. Lewis was a very intellectually challenging for me. And there were spots in this that I just completely gave up on trying to understand exactly what C.S. Lewis was saying, and I settled for getting the gist of it. So those two books definitely had me confused quite a bit. And then number 5, gift giving, a book recently given to you. And the most recent one that I can think of is The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post by Alison Pataki. And my sister found this, I think, in a thrift store somewhere, and she remembered that I had put it, I think, on my Goodreads want to read list, or had mentioned it perhaps. And so she picked it up, knowing that I was interested in reading it. So I really do want to read this. It's based on the life of Marjorie Post, who was the heiress to the Post, the cereal company, to the Post fortune. And she has a house in DC. Well, she had a house in DC that's now like a museum and gardens, and it's a really beautiful museum, gorgeous gardens. I kind of want to go back because it's been a while. Anyway, so I would really love to read this story about her life. And then Snowball, the biggest book you've ever read. And I'm not really sure because I haven't kept track through my life. And you know, different editions have different page counts, whatever. But I think that Les Mis is definitely close enough to qualify. This is a chunker, and this particular edition is over 1,200 pages. Let me get the exact page number for you. 1,247 pages. So that's a lot. The next prompt, wrapping paper, the most beat up book that you own. And this has definitely got to be it. I should get myself a new copy of this. This is The Golden Road by Lucy Maud Montgomery. When I was a preteen, young teen, I found as many of her books as I could and read them. And my sister had a lot of them. So I read from hers, but I also picked some up for myself somewhere along the way. You can see my little teenage self's fancy little signature there on the inside. I mean, this book is beat up. I don't think I got it so beat up. I think I just, you know, it's been with me through a lot in life, and it's like, what, I don't know, 30 years old at this point. So yeah, this is a very beat up book, and I should replace it. Number 8, Christmas Lights, a colorful cover. So I have this one, which I have not read yet. My friend lent this to me, and I intended to get to it in November, but I have already mentioned before, some things happened in November and family emergencies, and my time was taken up with that. And so I did not have as much time for reading as I normally would have. So I didn't get to all of my November goals. So I did not get to this one, but I do hope to get to this one. Maybe by the time this video actually goes live, I will have actually read it. So anyway, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Number 9, Ice Skating, a plot that is all over the place. And this one is maybe not quite the intention of the challenge in this prompt, but I think it fits. And that is Everything Sad is Untrue by Daniel Nayeri, which was a wonderful book. A couple of years ago, it was my favorite book that I read this year. And if anybody ever asks me for a recommendation, and I'm not 100% sure of their reading taste, I mentioned this one because I feel like, I don't know, there's so much to love in this book, and it speaks to everybody, if I can put it that way. But the plot is all over the place. It's not really a linear plot. The author is kind of a memoir of his coming of age in Oklahoma as a refugee, but he interweaves with that so many other stories of Persian tradition and of his family history and his life before he became a refugee with his mom and his sister. And it's told in the tradition of an oral Persian folktale. And so it's all of these interweaving threads, and every little section, every little chapter, you're somewhere different, and it's a different thread of the story. And they all weave together really beautifully to make a wonderful story overall. But when you're in the middle of it, in the thick of it, you don't always have any idea where he's going with this story, or what's the point, and why is he including this. It all gets woven together by the end, and it's just a beautiful tapestry. But on the journey, you're like, what are we doing? Where are we going? We have no idea. And then number 10, Christmas Tree, favorite character of all time. And of course, I have to bring up again, everybody, can we do a count of 3 on this one? 1, 2, 3. Lizzie Bennet, definitely from Pride and Prejudice. obviously one of my favorite characters of all time, but I'm gonna throw another one in here, and that is Anne of Green Gables. Not only do I share her name, but I have very fond childhood memories of Anne of Green Gables and reading the story. And when I reread it again a couple of years ago, I just fell in love all over again with the character of Anne and her whole story, and the humor and the beauty of Lucy Maud Montgomery's writing and her flair for imagination, and her writing that's just full of wonder about the world. And I love Anne of Green Gables as a character. Finally, number 11, The Star, a book that you reread every year. And I don't have any books that I reread every single year, but I do have some books that I have reread on a fairly consistent basis, more than just a couple of times. And I have mentioned both of them many times on this channel because they're favorites of mine. So I won't say a lot about them, but the first one is Christy by Catherine Marshall, which is a wonderful story. It's a little bit coming of age. But it's a lot about how Christy, how her heart of compassion grows and expands and matures as she serves people in the hills of North Carolina, Tennessee, one of those states, back in the early 1900s. And it's just, it makes me cry, it makes me laugh, it's heartwarming, it's challenging, it's convicting. I really enjoy reading that one, and I have read it probably more times than any other book I've read. And then the Price of Privilege trilogy, I think I've read like 5 times now. It's actually a 3-book series, but they are dependent on each other. They tell one linear story from one to the end, and you have to read them in order. So it's kind of like one big book. And it's a favorite of mine. And every time I go to read it again, I think, oh, this is going to disappoint me on a reread. I'm going to see like all of the flaws, or because I know what's going to happen, I'm going to, be bored by the story. It hasn't happened yet. Every time I picked it up and read it, I have cried. It has been, again, heartwarming, challenging, convicting, and it gives me joy to read it. I just really enjoy that book. So that is the Winter Essentials tag / Christmas Essentials tag. And I'm going to tag Essie at my book haul life. I've recently really been enjoying the content that she is creating on her channel. She has very creative video making and editing skills, and she reads a lot of books that I also love to read, and similar books to what I like to read. So I think that you will enjoy her channel also. So go and give her a subscribe and check out her channel. And I hope that you are able to do this tag hopefully before Christmas is completely over with. And I will see you all next time. Bye.